Sergeants! Simpsons episode 1-5, Bart the General. Synopsis. After taking Nelson's bullying one too many times, Bart raises an army of kids to take Nelson down a size. In all seriousness, though, so season 1 of The Simpsons is trying to establish more foundations for each of the characters at this point. They're not going through as much development, and most of these episodes focus around Bart, so a lot of it's going on the school end of the focus. Bart the General is a pretty solid episode, all things considered. It gives Nelson a base on what will become of his character and establishes his bullying tendencies. It also fleshes out Abraham Simpson and gives his wartime experience. Now, based on the fact that The Simpsons is on a floating timeline, it's going to change a lot later down the line. This is a very important development because Abe is one of the most important characters on The Simpsons. He's Homer's dad, and he appears more than most of the characters in the series. And you will pick up on this especially later down the line, where his characterization is pretty different from how he was in this episode. One of the memorable lines here is the "they can quit" line that Abe gives Bart when some of the kids want to quit the war. On top of that, we get one of those moments where Marge gives a moral for it to only be ignored, which I enjoy as a satire. The big major flaw that this episode has is it's a little light on the comedy end, and you'd kind of expect a bit more. It still works, it really does. It just could have been a bit funnier to keep more interest, but overall I'd give it a 7 out of 10. Simpsons episode 1-6, Moaning Lisa. Synopsis. Lisa has a bad case of the blues until she meets a mentor. Throughout what we've had of the season so far, it's mainly good, with a few dashes of greatness thrown in. However, this is probably the first dance The Simpsons has with perfection. I love every single moment of this episode, no joke. Once we get to see all 4 of the family members in action, we see Homer's incompetency, yet how he still cares, Bart's prankster tendencies, Lisa's cynicism, and Marge's morality and motherly tendency. This is a huge step in the right direction, because the other episodes were relatively light on character growth, and the Simpsons themselves are relatively one-dimensional. On top of that, the episode features intertwined subplots and a clear focus, which is a major problem later on in The Simpsons, by the way. But that's a topic for another day, probably later down in the videos. But on top of this, it uses music to its full potential. The song of the episode, the Second Grade Blues, is really good. It makes a good mood, it explains problems, and there's one more great thing about this episode. That great thing being Bleeding Gums Murphy, and man, greatness is an understatement. He is a great mentor for Lisa, and everything about him, to the more rubbery, cartoony way that he's animated, it gives him some life. He's very unique, and the songs that his actor sings are really well done. And with how great this episode is, it'll be the first episode of the series to get a 10 out of 10. When I say it's perfect, I mean pretty much perfect. Thanks for watching this week's Simpsomania. Like, comment, and subscribe.